It's Jan Coates here from my creating room in Wolfville, Nova Scotia. It's a drizzly gray day out there today. And I'm here today as part of the Hackmatack Children's Choice Book Award. One of my novels, Talking to the Moon, is on the list for that award this year. And unfortunately, everything is on hold, I guess, with that Hackmatack program. I just wanted to talk a little bit about it at the beginning in case you're not familiar with it. It's a Young Reader's Choice Award. Those programs exist across Canada. And Hackmatack is a type of tree, also known as larch here in Nova Scotia. Readers between the ages of 9 and 12 across Atlantic Canada can be involved. And there are 10 books that are nonfiction and 10 books that are fiction in each of French and English. And kids can read as many as they want and vote on which are their favorites. So for writers, the Young Reader's Choice Awards are among the most important because that's who we're writing for children's writers anyway. Yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit about Talking to the Moon today. The novel is published by Red Deer Press, and here's the cover of it. And my editor for this one, as with several of my other novels, is Peter Carver, and he is a great editor, has about 40 years experience. And what happened with this particular book, I was working on it for probably about 4 years, and finally he said, okay, I would like to publish it. And then it took another year of doing the edits that he suggested to get it to the point where it is now when it's between covers. The book is set in Lunenburg. It's the story of Katie Dupuis Pearson. In this book, she lives in Montreal, but she's in Lunenburg for the summer in this book. There are two significant things about Katie. One is she's living on the autism spectrum, and two, she's living in foster care. So she's looking for her birth mother when she comes to Lunenburg because she knows there was a connection to Lunenburg for her birth mother. When I started to write the book, I was going to write it as just historical fiction. And I'm going to show you this jug, which is sort of the inspiration or where this story began. So you can see it's a very old clay jug, and it looks as though on that side it has a woman picking her nose. And on the other side, there's a guy who's smoking something. So that jug is about 270 plus years old, and it's been in my family since that time. My family, the Mingo and Langell families, were part of the original settlement of Lunenburg by the foreign Protestants in the 1750s. So my family came from a place in France called Montbéliard. I've gotten to visit there a couple of times. And as I said, the jug has been in my family since that time, and I've always wondered about its story. So I started researching the foreign Protestant settlement of Lunenburg. And I was going to write pure historical fiction because I had done so much research and talked to so many people, visited museums. And in the process of beginning to write, all of a sudden, Katie stumbled into the story. I can't remember the details. And it very quickly became her story. Her voice was so strong. So it is Katie's story. And I would like to read a couple of things. I'm going to start with the dedication. I spend a lot of time when I'm writing, or I guess when a book is about ready to be published, on the dedication. They're very short, and I guess the more books you have, it takes a longer time to do it. But this is what I wrote for this one. This novel is for my ancestors who made the journey across the ocean, allowing the rest of us the great privilege of being Canadian. And especially, this is for Gramps Mingo, who rescued the Mingo Montbéliard jug, the inspiration for this story. I'm not sure about the lighting here, but I wanted to show you when I was a kid, I was very close to my grandparents and spent a lot of time with them. And in particular, my grandfather Mingo, Gramps Mingo, and I'm going to show you a picture. Those are Nana and Gramps Mingo. That was their 50th wedding anniversary. Sorry, it's a bit flashy, I think, on the screen, but Anyway, so this book, a lot of it written for him. So the first part I'm going to read is just the opening couple of pages so you can hear Katie's voice. And I think that I just need to turn on the lamp because it's very dark. Sorry. Chapter 1. And I just want to show you this graphic that Red Deer Press came up with, which is a tree showing its roots, because it is a story about finding roots deep in Lunenburg. My real mother, Moonbeam Dupuy, disappeared on March 20th, 2008. On my 4th birthday, 2,659 days ago. Sir Isaac Newton died on that same date, only in 1722. He was the first scientist to notice that water could separate light into all the colors of the spectrum. Sir Isaac discovered gravity too, the invisible force that keeps us stuck to the earth, like what roots do for trees, so we're not all the time astronaut floating. Hugs are one of my dislikes, but sometimes it feels like the earth's not wrapping its invisible arms around me tight enough. Like gravity and my missing mother are both avoiding me. Part of me disappeared with Moonbeam. Since it's an inside bit, the only one who knows it's gone is me. Me and my secret best friend, the moon, who is likely a man because nobody ever talks about the woman in the moon. The moon is one of my likes and a good listener, even though he never answers my very important questions. Why are some kids so mean? How come Moonbeam left me behind, and where is she? Why are the rainbow colors always in the same order? Rainbows are like the good families in stories. All the colors are separate, but together, giving each other just right personal space. In my 2 foster families before Muzzy, I was always floating free in my own entire solar system of personal space, like a falling star. My teacher, Miss Maditall, told me I'm on the autism spectrum, which is not something pretty like a rainbow spectrum. It's more a fancy word teachers made up to describe left out kids like me. Muzzy says my brain's just bigger than most people's, that I'm marching to the beat of my own drum. She says that as if it's a like, but she's wrong. And I play the piano, not drums. Other kids mostly make fun of me. They whisper and laugh at my grouchy old lady face. Whispering and laughing are 2 of my dislikes. Ready, Freddie? Almost, and my name is Katie. I finish arranging my folded underwear in my suitcase, a row of black lined up on top of all the white, like piano keys. On top of those, I put the bookmark Moonbeam left for me. On the front, it says Elizabeth's Books, Montague Street, Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, and on the back, in messy handwriting, it says, every time you see the moon, know that I'll be thinking of you, Katie. Take good care of our lavender lady. I'll tell you her story when I come back for you. Love, Moonbeam. Our lavender lady, a horse chestnut-sized rock shaped like half a gray egg, full of hard lavender crystals, stays in my pocket to help me be brave. Bilbo Baggins kept Gollum's ring, synonym for his precious, in his pocket. It helped him be invisible, which would be one of my likes. But that could only happen in a made-up story, like The Hobbit. I like true stories, especially the ones with happy endings. I hope what Moonbeam wrote on the bookmark is true, and that our story will also have a happy ending. But sometimes being patient is hard for me. So that gives you a little introduction to the characters. I'm going to skip ahead here to page 55. When Katie comes to Lunenburg, she makes some new friends. Two of them are young, and two of them are not so young. And sorry, I'm just trying to find my correct page here. Okay, so the two kids are Jack and Ruthie, who is based on a girl that I actually met in Lunenburg the summers that I was there researching. Anyway, in this part, this is going to be the part where Katie meets up with Jack for the first time. So she's on her borrowed bike, which she calls Butterscotch. One of Katie's things is that she labels everything with colored pencil colors because she collects these colored pencils and they all have very interesting names. So every time she sees something for the first time, she gives it the name of one of the colored pencils. So she's on the bike trail. If you know Lunenburg, you know the bike trail. I've been on it many times. When I can't hear the baby anymore, I come to a smelly, swampy part that makes me hold my breath. I count to 35 before I have to breathe again. I stop beside a wooden bench, rest one foot on it, and get out my water bottle. Besides birds chirping, leaves whispering, and me swallowing, it's quiet. Not nice quiet, like when somebody sneaky at school is cheating over my shoulder. Only I'm alone. Butterscotch might be a good name for my bike since it's the right color, and butterscotch pie is one of my likes. I wonder if Joellen knows how to make that kind. I take another drink, then start humming. The same tune I heard at Aggie's the first day. I still can't remember the words. Oh! I spray out my mouthful of water, drop my bottle, and almost fall off my bike. Only because the slithering snake startled me, not because I'm scared. Mostly the snakes in Canada aren't dangerous, except for pets, like the 12-foot-long escaped African python that strangled two little boys in their sleep one time. A boy in my grade 2 class told us that horrible but true story for his share and tell. It did not have a happy ending. Close to where the snake disappeared into the long grass, I see rainbow speckles near the bottom of a birch tree. I get off my bike and try to find the prism. When I push my bike slowly back and forth, the clear plastic reflector on the spokes spins, making the rainbows flutter. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo. What's that? I jerk my head around, look up into the trees deep in the woods. A sharp tapping. Is it a woodpecker? Hey! I squint up at a big leafy tree. On a high branch, there's a stranger with long, messy hair and a hammer in one hand. The don't talk to strangers rule doesn't apply in lovely Lunenburg. Maybe it's a homeless person who lives in the woods, like the ones in the park in Montreal. Some of them are friendly, but some of them are scary yellers. The person jumps to the ground and starts crashing through the woods toward me. Hiccups heap up in my throat. I get back on my bike, hum louder, and push hard on the pedals. Chapter 6. Hey, you forgot your water bottle. I squeeze both brakes hard. It's my favorite water bottle, dragonfly green. I try to get off too soon and end up on the ground with butterscotch on top of me. One of her pedals is digging into my leg. Ouch! Are you okay? The person asks, reaching out one hand. I think it's a boy with long hair. His fingers have paint speckles on them, parrot green. I get up by myself, brush the dirt off my shorts and legs, and check for blood. One of my dislikes, especially my blood. I'm Jack. He holds on to Butterscotch's handlebars with one hand and passes me my water bottle with the other. Who are you? His sneakers were probably white when they were new. Now they're drizzly afternoon gray. Katie Dupuis Pearson. I look away and take a drink, trying to swallow my hiccups. One belches out anyway. And my bike is Butterscotch. He doesn't tell me the name of his bike, if he has one. I let my eyes slide up to the middle of his wrinkly t-shirt, sunshine yellow. There's a picture of an old house on it, one of the frosting houses. Is that your house? Does it have a name tag? He opens his mouth wide and laughs loudly. That's a pretty funny first question. I move away from him and stand with Butterscotch between my legs. The boy tugs on the bottom of his t-shirt to smooth it out and turns around so I can read the back. Jack Jodrey and Son, we bring history to life. I take one of my dancing hands off the handlebars and stuff it into my pocket and find my lavender lady. History to life. What does it mean? Yeah. I take another drink of water. It's my dad's business. He's Jack too. And we fix up old houses around town, bring them back to life. For all the rich CFAs, it's my day off. Day off. Who are the rich CFAs? CFA stands for come from away, what we call the new people who move here. I'm a CFA, I say, and I have $232.16 in the bank that I saved from my allowance. But I'm not rich. I live at the Chickadee, and I work for Aggie, who is not a CFA. But her great-grandmother several times over was a CFA from France. But I don't think she was rich. Aggie Mingo? Jack folds his arms across his chest. Yeah, we did some work for her, built her wheelchair ramp in June. She doesn't have a wheelchair now, but she has Silver Streak, who is a walker, not a pony, and she has new hardware. Yeah, a hip joint. Jack laughs again, and I start to pedal away. Hey, where are you going? You're funny, he says. Too bad we don't have any peanut butter to get rid of your hiccups. I stop pedaling and put my feet down. Peanut butter is banned at my school because Hillary is allergic, but since she's in Montreal and I am in Lunenburg, I could eat peanut butter if we had some. Peanut butter is one of my likes, especially the crunchy kind. Being allergic would really suck. I live for peanut butter, especially chocolate peanut butter cups. Hey, do you like fishing? So there's Jack, one of the friends that Katie makes in Lunenburg. I don't know if you guys have ever had the chance to spend time in Lunenburg. I love Lunenburg. It's one of my favorite places in Nova Scotia. And I got to live there for 2 summers while I was doing the research, or for 2 months in 2 summers. I came to love it even more. And one of the things that if you get to visit Lunenburg, you'll notice is that the really old houses, the ones that have been there from the 17 and early 1800s, have labels on them as to who built the house and what their job was. And that's one of the things that Katie becomes very fascinated by in Lunenburg, is going around and reading those labels on the houses. Now, what's the next section I'm going to read? So as well as Jack and Ruthie, 2 young friends, Katie meets a couple of older women who are named Aggie and Jessie. So Aggie's the one who has had her hip replaced. And so Katie's job is helping her do stuff as she learns to walk again. And she lives in Lunenburg. She has a sister that they're estranged, so they haven't been friends for a while. The sister's name is Jessie, and she lives in the woods just outside Lunenburg. And while I was there researching, I was biking one day out by Mason's Beach, and I looked in the woods, and I could see that there was kind of a little house, a little hut. I didn't think anybody was using it then, but that became Jessie's house in this story. So Katie is on her bike again in this section. I push my bike slowly back up the hill, moving my head back and forth, side to side, staring into the dark trees. Other than a dog barking, a few cars whooshing past, and my tires crunching on the gravel shoulder, it's quiet. There's no wind, so even the trees are silent, which is one of my likes. But this isn't the peaceful kind of silent, more the creepy, hold your breath kind, like in scary movies, one of my dislikes. Oh! A shaggy dog runs out of the woods at me, tilting up his snout and barking. I act like a statue. His teeth look sharp, and he has white froth around his mouth, a sign of rabies. He's the color of a fox, burnt orange, but his ears are floppy, not pointy. He sniffs my bike all around, then licks the white knuckles of my left hand. It tickles. Woof, I say, sitting on my bike seat, squeezing both brakes, keeping one foot on the high pedal in case I need to ride away quickly. I hope I don't have to because it's uphill. Are you a nice dog or the mean kind that rips heads off rabbits? A boy in grade 3 told a true story for his share and tell about his grandfather's dog doing that to his pet rabbit. Mean dogs are one of my dislikes. He, or she, sits beside me and looks straight up at me, with only the tip of his pink tongue showing between his teeth. Do dogs smile? He rests one heavy paw on my knee. I shake it and look straight at his truffle brown eyes. He looks away, to keep me from trying to see inside his brain, maybe. Don't worry, my eyes aren't X-ray eyes, I tell him. When he presses his head up against my bare leg, he's soft and warm, like he's been lying in the sun. Miranda, get over here right now, girl. Girl. The raggedy voice screeches out at us from the dark woods, but I can't see who it belongs to. The dog barks once, then licks my leg and trots back across the road, disappearing into the trees. I try to wipe off the slobber blobs she left on my shorts. Miranda, is she Jessie's dog? I cross the road, lock Butterscotch to a signpost, speed limit 50, then try to jump across the narrow ditch. It's wider than I thought. About halfway up the other side, one sneaker sinks into the muck. I fall to my knees, grabbing onto a bush to keep from falling to the bottom of the deep ditch. I pull myself the rest of the way up the bank, then try to scrape the muck off my sneaker with a stick. There's kind of a path through the tall grass, but partway along it's blocked by a pile of broken hay bales. Are there cows or horses out here? Seems more like a place for deer and raccoons. The trees are packed close together, mostly coniferous, not deciduous. I start breathing fast, like when I can't find any personal space in the middle of a crowd. I squeeze my warm lavender lady and tiptoe around the hay, following the flattened out grass downhill. I look behind me when a car zooms past with its radio blaring, fun, 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 but I can't see it for the hill. I hope Butterscotch is safe, because when you borrow something, you should always look after it. I track Miranda's barking to where she's standing on just her back legs, up against a tall tree, her front paws reaching up. Is there a raccoon or a squirrel? I look up, squint, and blink. Not a raccoon, not a squirrel, a person. A person all dressed in black, hanging by her knees upside down from a branch, with her arms folded across her chest, like a giant bat wearing a silvery cape. I'm going to just carry on into the next chapter a bit, just so you can see who it is. Chapter 12, Inversion Therapy. I'm hiding behind a bushy tree when the upside-down person starts talking. I know speech therapy and physiotherapy, but not inversion therapy. I put one hand over my mouth to trap the hiccups. Hanging upside down gets the blood circulating, improves my creative potential, feeds my brain so it doesn't atrophy, landing me with the rest of the old fogies over in Harborview Haven. Harborview Haven, where Jack's grandpa lives. This is an old person then. An old person with long silver sword gray hair. But she is acting like a kid, not a cranky old lady. She swings back and forth a few times, then grabs onto the branch with both hands, unhooks her legs, lets them dangle in the air, then drops to the rooty ground in a monkey crouch. Miranda trots over next to her and sticks her snout in underneath one of the woman's bony, giraffe-speckled hands, like Aggie's bony, age-spotted hands. The lady pushes Miranda away, stands up, and closes her eyes. She's not much bigger than me. Give me a minute now to get my bearings, redirect my blood flow. She shakes her head and pushes her hair back off her face using both hands. Dizzy as Dorothy in a twister. Twister. Dorothy Gale, I say, keeping my eyes on Miranda. I know the Wizard of Oz. Hit! You're too small to be the Wicked Witch of the West. Hit! But you are wearing striped socks and you do look scary. Her eyes pop open, blue-green velvet, like Aggie's. My reputation precedes me. Being known as a witch allows me to enjoy uninterrupted privacy out here. She makes both dark eyebrows go up. Most times. Your knees are bleeding, whoever you are. She looks away. then jerks her eyes back to my face, like the new kids at school do when they see me for the first time, as if my face is a hard puzzle or a challenge round mental math problem, like 23 times 24. We met before? I shake my head no and look down at my knees. Blood is trickling from small cuts in both of them. I'm Katie. I don't believe in witches or fairies or ghosts. Blood is one of my dislikes, especially my blood. Do you have a Band-Aid? And I'll leave that there. So that is Jessie. Jessie and Aggie, the two older women, connect Katie essentially with the idea that people have such deep roots and they know who their family has been for hundreds of years and where their family lived, which houses they lived in. And Katie is just looking for her birth mother. So she becomes fascinated by the stories that Jessie and Aggie tell about Catherine Marguerite, one of the original settlers of Lunenburg. My editor, Peter Carver, interviews his authors, and I just wanted to read a little bit of the interview before I say goodbye. It's at the very back of the book, and here's Peter's question to me. In several of your books, you have delved into stories that have strong roots in the past. Why do you find historical settings and events so intriguing? And why do you think it's important for young readers to gain interest in such stories? And here's my answer. There's an African saying I like. When an elder dies, it's as if an entire library has burned to the ground. When my parents and grandparents died, I knew I'd miss being able to ask them questions about the past. I continue to miss that and wish I had recorded interviews with them about their lives as a permanent record of both their memories and their voices. Those who came before us worked hard to create the Canada we know and love. This foreign Protestant history, which hasn't yet been told for young readers, is important. Their descendants, numbering in the hundreds of thousands, are scattered throughout North America. This is in part a refugee story. Kids whose families have lived in Canada for many decades, even centuries, probably don't often think about their uprooted ancestors who made the perilous journey across the ocean, similar to those new Canadians still arriving today. I suppose most of us are immigrants, our roots transplanted in that way, but few of us know our ancestors' stories, the importance of which is summed up nicely here by author Madeleine L'Angle. If you don't recount your family history, it will be lost. Honor your own stories and tell them too. The tales may not seem very important, but they are what binds families and makes each of us who we are. Thank you very much for being here on this Hackmatack broadcast. I hope young readers who are participating will somehow be able to vote. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but I'm happy to have had this virtual author visit with those of you who have had a chance to tune in. Yeah, so Talking to the Moon. One thing I forgot to mention is that I actually got to help design this cover for the first time, and of course it's one of my favorite covers as a result. Yeah, including even the yellow font. So I'm very happy with the cover. But anyway, I'll say so long, and thanks so much for being here today. I hope that we will all soon get to be back out enjoying the world, and that you're all staying home, washing your hands, staying safe, and getting to hang out with your friends online, I guess. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.